drive an orange Lamborghini? Just factor in you drive a pink Lamborghini. You got an orange Lamborghini. You drive orange. We're going to just measure stuff on the street, so if you don't want us to measure it, don't put that there. Once arrested for this. Anything interesting? I have a warrant outstanding in this country. Golf, chess, anything like that. Swimming, tennis. No pressure.
How do you say your last name? Chong. But yep.
And I want to welcome you all to our stream here at the Super Series Australian Poker Tour Brisbane, and what a celebration it is in Brisbane tonight. Harvey Silva, joined here by, I don't know, do you follow the footy, Craig? I'm actually not too sure. Craig Abernathy joins me in here. The Brisbane Lions winning the grand final. It's absolutely going off outside in the streets of Brisbane. A little bit more sedate in here at the Voco Hotel where we're hosting the Australian Poker Tour. And good evening to you, mate. Did you at least watch the game, or you're too busy?
No. I didn't manage to watch the game, but I did see the score, and I was very disappointed to see my Swans were trounced in the end by the Brisbane Lions. So, and I saw a couple of troll messages from the Queensland Police Service actually that said maybe that the New South Wales Police Service want to put out a missing persons for the 22 missing swans,
Yes.
the MCG.
Yeah,
so,
it's a pretty regular message whenever a grand final's one-sided, and it was pretty one-sided. Mate, now I am going to be leaning on you heavily here because we're watching PLO, and this is not my game, but I love it. I love watching it, and talk us through where we're at. I can see we're 5 left here. Talk us through, please. Let everyone know what's going on, Craig.
Yeah, so this event started yesterday. It's a $2,200 buy-in, pot limit Omaha National Champs. Now they're down to the final 5, as we can see. I'll read out the names for those who finished 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th shortly. But there was a field size of 93 entries. 48 entries, generating a prize pool of $93,600. First prize here is $30,850. Second, $20,600. So $30K up top. We've got 5 players battling it out for that. We're just watching a hand here between Renji Mao and Benjamin LeBlond. So looks like Ben's raised from the button here. Ace King 7-5.
Alright, please.
Renji's defended his big blind, a pair of 7s.
Hey, we are about to get underway. Deal is
Top seems to have gone check.
Start making your way to the table, players.
Renji's actually picked up a straight draw here. So in pot limit Omaha, for our viewers that maybe not so familiar with that, you get dealt 4 cards. If you're watching the streams last night, that's different to the 2 cards we saw in the no limit hold'em variation we saw. This one you get 4 cards and you have to use 2. You can't just use one of your cards. You can't use more than 2, exactly 2. So in this particular hand, as you'll see, the computer software's picked that up. Benjamin's got the best hand here with his using his Ace King. So his best hand is Ace King 4-4. Got pair of kings, pair of 4s for 2 pair with an ace kicker. And Renji has 2 pairs, 7s and 4s. And again, it just looks like check down, and
All right, players, blinds will start at 100.
Ben will skate that one in. So, yeah, no, good to be back in the commentary, Harvey.
Yeah, we had fun yesterday. The State of Origin was a hell of a lot of fun, pretty raucous. I think it's going to get raucous in here tonight too. There's a lot of people in the room. First time we did PLO was in Adelaide. We upgraded our software to be able to put 4 cards up instead of 2. It was a lot of fun for me. I know PLO, I just don't play it because I find it really difficult and really confusing. So I'm glad I've got someone next to me who can talk us through the intricacies of the game. And we've joined this at a really good time with 5 left, and this should go for a little while. And once this one's over, I think we might flick over to the other event that's starting tonight, which is the 7,500 back to Hold'em, which will be a bit more familiar with me. So we've got a long night ahead, a long fun night ahead, I'm sure. Please join us in the chat, get involved. Not the sort of crap that we've just had to delete, but get involved and let us know about anything. We may get a few AFL fans on there as well. Really, I suppose, great if you're a Brisbane supporter, but a really disappointing grand final. I would have thought Sydney are going to put up a much better display than that.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a close game, you know, who you support, I think. And there would have been a lot of supporters that had neither team to cheer for and probably would have been a little bit disappointed in that result too, being no Melbourne team this year. But I see another hand here. Once again, Ben's raised out of the cut-off, defended by Alex Chong this time. And obviously the action slowed down here because an ace hit the board. Ben holding pocket kings. So he'd obviously be a bit worried about the ace. And now Alex, his actually hands, that's what we call a rundown hand, 9865. And I was a bit slow to see that flop, but he flopped everything basically. When you've got a rundown hand, you can flop 2 pair, straight draws, so you've got a lot of opportunity to improve, make a pair, make a hand, and improve as well. So I guess that's one of the big differences in PLO. It's not just about your hand currently, but it's what you can improve to. And you generally, the hand strengths in PLO, you want to make a much stronger hand to take down a pot. You're not going to see too many PLO hands taken down by just 1 pair, or even 2 pair. You'd probably need to have 3 of a kind, or a straight, or a flush. Yeah, so that's one of the big differences. But otherwise, they play the same. The blinds come out the same. Big blind ante the same. Everything else is sort of the same.
So it's nice to get a hand, I suppose, where you got a couple of suited cards and some high cards. Pairs are good, so I'd imagine that's pretty good there. He's got 2 diamonds and 2 jacks. That's a pretty good starting hand, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, you want to have the cards that work together. So you're right in having certainly double, what we'd call two of the same suit, double suited. Now, none of these guys have double suited, but I'm a big fan of Tibor's hand. He has 1 suit and he has a Jack 10-8-7, which is a rundown. Alex Chong's is not too bad either because he can make the nut flush. You see a lot of flushes over flushes in pot limit Omaha. So if you make the second nut flush, it's very hard to fold that because it's such a strong hand. But quite often you're going to run into the nut flush and you could do your stack there. So. But anyway, this flop sort of hasn't really connected with anyone. No one's got a king. No one's got clubs. They've all got sort of the higher cards. A pair of 8s is in the lead at the moment with a jack. A jack kicker, yeah. JP's still in the hand. I wasn't even looking at that. He's got the pocket jacks are still holding up, sorry. Yes, so JP's jacks are still superior to the 8s, obviously.
And even though he's pulled a 6 there, he can't really use it, can he?
No, he can actually, because if you look at the jacks, he can actually make 2 pair here, but he can't make 2 pair with the jacks.
That's right, yes.
Because if he's just using the jacks, he's only got 1 pair. So
I've gotcha, yeah.
So he's actually downgraded his hand, upgraded his hand, but downgraded his cards to the 6-3 offsuit, which is good enough for 2 pairs here. So
and wins.
Yeah, and will win it. So that's one of the ones where, you know, he obviously played that hand with the jacks as the major part of that hand. But yeah, one of the intricacies of PLO.
Yeah.
I've got
Definitely had some fun here with it. Pikachu's on again. All right, we keep giving us the info. We love it down here. We've had a big day though. Let's be honest, and we're going to have a big night as we go in. In the chat, you can see the prizes, the remaining prizes. We've already had 2 players cash here, and up top 30,850. Second, 20,600. Third, 14,150. And fourth is 10,300. Pretty nice for not a massive field, 48, and to be potentially taking home that sort of money. That's great.
Yeah, and a couple of the players I just wanted to mention on this one. Firstly, I wanted to start with Benjamin LeBlond because I recognised Ben's face. He took down an event at the WPT. It was actually in the pot limit Omaha. It was a $1,100 buy-in down there. And first place was only 14,000. So this one sort of upped the stakes here to 2,200, and he finds himself in the top 5. So, you know, players that make the final tables often, as we've said before, there's no fluke. You know, we see the same players over and over again. Benjamin's one of those players. He's out here. He went to the whole WPT and he's stuck around for APT, which is great to see him.
So here we go. I've got to assume Tibor looked down at that hand and thought, this is fantastic, and all of a sudden Benjamin's hit trip 7s.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Tibor would have loved this hand. He's got the Ace King and Pocket Kings. So straight away you've got some pretty good starting hand. Benjamin's come along. His hand's not too bad either. Pair of 7s, Jack 8. That sort of neatly goes around, and as you can see, he's flopped a set.
Yeah.
He's got 2 pairs, so obviously he can improve to a full house. If another 2 comes, if another 8 comes, if a 7, he makes quads. Your Jack doesn't really do much for him at the moment, but he can also run out a straight, 9, 10. And Tibor's, he's got the overpair. You can see he's a 7% favourite, so... Yeah.
But he'd like that, wouldn't he? He'd look down and think, well, I've already got a pair of kings here. There's an ace there. But obviously the bet gets him off. And
it's, sometimes in PLO, your hands, they're very easy to... You either flop everything or you flop absolutely zilch. Tibor, you know, good hand to play, but flop just didn't work out for him that time. So pot goes into Ben. Ben's actually, from Bali, Indonesia, actually. I've asked him just before the stream started what he sort of does, and he said he's still trying to work that out. So his trip to Australia, he sort of started working that out. He can certainly play PLO with a trophy at WPT and another big cash here tonight, potentially 30,000. He looks like a fit guy too. Yeah,
so here's another one who, in hobbies, puts all that fitness stuff in. We were talking about this yesterday, that so many of our players here have filled out questionnaires where their hobbies are gym or, at the worst, golf, at best, football, you know. So guys are a lot of fit people here, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, here's another hand. Slightly different starting hands this time. The lower end of the board. This time Alex has flopped a set of 4s, and he's got... That's what I mean, hands working together. So he's got the pocket 4s, but he's got the 5, 6 around it. So when he does flop a set, he can also improve to a straight. And that was another... You're going to see a lot of pots tonight short-handed that... I guess the card strengths, the hand strengths aren't going to need to be quite as strong, being 5-handed. If you're playing 9-handed, you need to be sort of really, really tight before you enter a pot. 5-handed, obviously, like any type of poker, less cards dealt, a weaker hand sort of will qualify to win the pot.
Despite grand final day, we've had a big day in here, Craig. We had a free roll, and we had 300 and nearly 20, I think, entries pretty amazing, wasn't it? It was heaving here in the afternoon.
Yeah, the room was full, and it was a free roll, but it was fully dealt. I mean, I don't recall the last time I saw a fully dealt free roll in live poker. So no wonder it was full. It's just something that's so rare. The room was packed. We see T-Ball opening this pot, ace 10, 8-8. He's got the nut flush draw in hearts. Folds around to Renji, and Renji's looked down at that hand and see he folds that pair of threes there. In PLO, pocket pairs, you've got to be really careful with small pairs in PLO because, as we discussed last night on the stream for anyone watching, the small pairs, it's hard to flop top set. It's almost, I'd say it's impossible with pocket threes, and in PLO there's a lot more chances other people can flop a set as well, having more cards. So, yeah, pocket threes, generally going to see that folded in PLO, even from the big blind when you've got some chips in, depending what other cards you've got around it. On to the next hand. And we'll just see who enters this pot, because I might mention some more information about them. It looks like T-Ball now, look, he's been dealt 4 diamonds. They are sort of all connected, but generally you're blocking your own flush draw there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lot, right?
Too many of the same suit, right?
Yeah. You don't want to have 4, because as you said, you can only use 2, so two are straight away essentially in the muck. Even though they're in your hand, they're dead. So Benjamin's hand that's one of those double suited hands, so he's got 2 flush draws going for him. And when you're short-handed, a king high flush draw goes a lot further up in value than 9-handed, because it's less likely the nut flush draws out there. But
so we're on a flush draw here with Benjamin.
Yep.
With the spades.
Yep. He's just got the flush draw in 10 high, so he's not going to be crazy about it. Because again, he'd be worried about a bigger flush draw if it does come. And it turns at the moment his king high is good.
Yeah, nothing there.
Just fired out a small bet, and if the other opponent's got absolutely nothing, they're just going to get rid of it. Like
Which he did. He had 2 pair there. He was holding a 3, so he had 2 pair. Point out nothing. I'm just commentating this as we go along because, as I say, I'm no expert in this, but love the game because I think there's so many more things to have to weigh up here than in Hold'em. It gets a little bit obvious in front of you what's happening here. There's, well, hang on, if this came out, all of a sudden I'm here, and you know I've got this suit, so I'm probably blocking that. And I actually really enjoy the strategy behind PLO, and I know that a lot of the players here are big PLO fans. They, again, like the variety of that. So this I'm going to assume is also another really good-looking hand for Benjamin.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of kings. We haven't seen any aces yet. Kings with the ace means it's unlikely someone else has got the other aces, but I guess in PLO, 4 chances. You do see kings versus aces a lot. Another very easy, simple pot, just bet and take it. That's going to see that a bit.
Waiting for some 2 big hands to go against each other here.
Yeah, well, there's quite a lot of ICM implications at the moment. As I said, the next person out gets 7,500, but just over, between 3 and 4 buy-ins, 3.5 buy-ins. Up top is 30, so that's significant. Here we go.
There's the aces, and also the
double suited, double suited aces. So when you look down at this hand in PLO, it's a very nice feeling. You can make, obviously, aces are good a lot of the time. You can make both nut flush draws. It's amazing how many times we'll see if we get a defend here.
Unlikely, I would have thought, but
You got chips in the pot. Yeah, he's just going to give us an up. So JP is going to be a bit disappointed there. But if the flop came 5, 6, 7 with all hearts or something, he would have been equally disappointed with that hand. But he'll take another pot down. He's got a pile of chips in front of him. JP's actually been kind enough to give us some info too. So JP's from Palmerston North in New Zealand. He's a professional player. He was over here for the WPT series as well. I'm not sure if he's a professional table tennis player, but
He's a good table tennis player.
he'd be much better than I am. And I don't know if I saw a table tennis table down in the foyer. I don't think I did, but they might have one on the site, but they definitely have some other games. Here's a nice hand for us, Harvey.
Again, the double suited.
And the Broadway sort of cards as well, they connect, because obviously if you make a straight with the Broadway cards, it's the nut straight. Obviously straight over straights are another thing you see quite often in PLO, so that's a beautiful hand Renji's picked up there, Renji Mao.
Geez, we've seen a lot of raised folds, haven't we? It's haven't really seen anyone contest yet, but it will happen. We've been five-handed for a fair while here too, Craig. I think when I came through at the end of the grand final on my way up to get ready for commentary, I think we were five-handed then, so it has been a while.
Yeah, PLO is one of those games, it's sort of, early on, it's a lot of action because you start with, 20,000 chips or generally a smaller sort of amount, and the goal is to build a stack, and it's one of those games where if you are playing, you want to have a couple of bullets or entries to refire because you're going to sort of push your equity. If you've got that straight draw or flush draw, you're going to go for it and try and chip up early. So all these players have obviously done that, and they've really chipped up.
Well, here we go. So we've had raise, fold, 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 fold. All of a sudden, we've got at least 3 really good hands here.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen an open under the gun from Alex Chong.
And there's another. Now he folds up the top there. So all the aces are in players' hands. We know that now.
Yeah, and just a flat call from the aces and the kings. And the big blinds also come along, so this will be interesting. Now, 9, 7, 8, 8, 10 is 10, 8 is the nuts. No one has 10, 8, but blockers is something that's very significant in PLO. So by having 2 10s, Renji, what I mean by that is Renji having 2 10s here, it's hard for another player to have that straight. No one's got the flush draw either, but Benjamin does have that ace of spades, so that's a bit that's relevant as well. 7 pairs the board. No one's got a 7 either, so still the aces are out in front and 4 ways. That is rather uncommon with such a dynamic board. It's just the 8s and the 10s. Alex's pocket 8s and pocket 10s are not near each other, so they can't make that straight, and no one's got the 7, so that's why aces are still out in front.
All right, dealers in the free roll.
I was thinking, but he's still out in front, but he's only 57%, so there's about half the deck if they all stay in the hand.
Well, all it needed was a bet and got the 3 of them out.
Yeah, and that was a well-timed bet too, because it was 57% chance to win and it was 47 to lose, and there was a lot of cards that aces were no longer going to be the best hand, so he did well there.
Yep.
It was quite a fortunate run out and a good time bet. Takes down a nice pot with everyone in there, so more chips.
We're going to have some fun tonight, Craig, being a Saturday night. We've lined up a few really interesting guests for later on to come in and have a chat, which will be good. And not necessarily poker players either, just probably don't want to give away too much, but we've got a bit of a celeb in the house. I'm also going to talk to the partner of a player that travels around the world and what it's like to be a partner following someone around. We do have a lot of internationals here, especially with the big State of Origin last night and the 2 international teams. So got quite a few people who've flown in from overseas. So we're going to have a chat with a partner who is following their partner around. What is it like? And as it gets a bit later in the evening, we've got a pretty strong feeling it'll get a bit loose in the room here too, and we'll have a bit of fun. Not as loose as last night during the State of Origin. That was pretty crazy.
The State of Origin was a lot of fun, and I've already seen a viral video go around of the disappointment. But I might just interrupt this hand because we have now a 3-bet pot. Benjamin's raised with a mystery hand. JP's 3-bet, so he's re-raised it to 270k, and then Alex has come in. He's found aces now, so he's done the cold 4-bet, bumped it up again, and then everyone's had enough now. When you see that raise and re-raise, the cold 4, it's generally going to be aces and not much else. Yeah, so we've had a couple of big hands in all of a sudden, but no, it sounds interesting, those guests that we've got coming in, Harvey.
Done a little bit of canvassing today, having a later start, so we actually had a full room in the Players' Lounge watching the footy and having a few drinks, so it was a bit easier to canvass today.
Yeah, and a lot of those Western Australian team were still out celebrating and they came back to watch the AFL. Obviously, Western Australians love their AFL. That's a pretty hand we see from Renji here. That'll be a raise. Anything to come along. Again, see, this is the pocket sixes, but nothing, no suits. Queen Jack, I mean, with the big blind, he's already got the chips in there, some in there, so this is what we call defending it, because you're defending the money you've already got in the pot. And when you're off a short stack, like, still not super short, 500k, puts the extra 30k in to call, 45, sorry.
And comes up with air.
Yeah, well, he does have a gut shot. He's got a pair of sixes.
Yeah, but I don't think he's getting a chance to see this, because
when he defends that hand, he really wants to...
No, here we go. It's gone check. So he
check,
might...
check, okay. All right. This is where T-Ball could get a little creative and bet now, because it's very difficult for Renji to have 6-7, knowing he's got the sixes, and he has showed no interest in that flop. So he's probably putting Renji on pretty much exactly what he's got, the high cards and no overpair. So he's trying to take this one down, and as you said, he's got the worst hand currently. So if he can get this one down, but he doesn't, Renji decides to.
He does have the
continue.
8 there,
Just
so
have a pair of 8s, yeah.
Let's see what the river provides us with.
It's interesting to see. It's probably a little bit scary that he got called there. It's hard to fire out another one, but if he's going to represent this 6-7, he really has to. I think he has to go for the lot, because a small bet, you might get a curious call from Renji, a sort of small one. So T-Boz certainly got.
Well, he got himself knee deep into this, and he's going to probably get.
He's given up now.
Check back, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he's going to check back, and he's going to be disappointed, I think, because a big bet there on the river would have. But it is hard to do because.
Well, that would have been for his tournament life, basically, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I just wanted to mention Tibor as well. Originally from Hungary, now resides.
With a name like Tibor, I would assume so.
Yeah. Tibor, was he in the comic strip?
Yes.
I remember. Yes. No, Tibor's now resides on the Sunshine Coast, loves his poker. I had a bit of a chat to him before the final table. He mainly plays in the pub leagues up there, but not so much PLO, so he's travelled down to Brisbane because he's seen this big game of PLO, which he loves, a big buy-in, fully dealt, and he's made it to the final table, so it's worth his trip down for sure. He's already got 7,500 locked up, and if he can run this smaller stack up, yeah, it'll be a good night for him. So we'll see how he goes. Some connected hands here. We see go to a flop. A raise from Alex. Queen Jack 10-4. You know, pretty reasonable hand to raise from the button, and T-board's defended and the small blind. Ace Jack 8-4. One suit as well. They've both got clubs, and on this board, T-board's actually decided that's enough for him. He's got the up and down straight draw. He's going to get the bad news because Alex has actually smashed this flop. He's got top pair and the up and down straight draw. So he's not in good shape. He's looking to hit an ace. Or a queen.
There's his outs up the top there, Craig.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Wasn't looking up there.
That's another service we provide here.
Yep. Give us a hand. I mean, I'm doing the maths in my head, the calculations in my head, but I don't need to because we've got the software. It's all working out. It's sort of... do you find that technology these days, you feel stupider every day because you're just relying on it, and then you go to actually work something out in your head and it takes you twice as long?
Yeah, it's like trying to do maths without a calculator.
Yeah. Certainly slowed my brain down just because I rely on it so much. But here we go. We've got an all-in call. Looking for one of those outs up the top for T-ball.
Oh, and there it is.
There it is. Bang, but now Alex's outs are up the top there. See if the old suck out, re-suck out. And no, so
T-ball does...
after both players had a straight draw, neither of them hit, and it was the bang, running two pair, ace-4 that gives T-ball the life back in the tournament. He'll double up now. Still the shortest stack, but back up to 30 blinds, so... I like that. T-ball just saw the flop and he's like, yep, well, what am I hoping for? If I've got Jack 8 and the flop comes 9-10, you know, let's go. And he did, and he got there, and without the cards that he wanted to hit, the ace was good, and yeah, nice work. So 5 remain still. 5 chasing that 30,000 up top.
So, Craig, outside of the obvious, which is that you get 4 cards instead of 2, I think the one thing that maybe the most confusing part of this is that you've got to use both cards. And so often you'll look down, I suppose, and see a flop or see a full 5 cards out in front of you and think, geez, I'm good here. But no, you're not. You actually have to use 2 cards in your hands, not just one. And... sometimes you're not making a flush or not making a full house, for instance, because you actually have to use both cards.
Yeah, and PLO, as we keep calling it, we should specify for those that aren't familiar, perhaps that's that's short for Pot Limit Omaha. So we have Texas Hold'em with the 2 cards, and the Omaha variation is the 4 cards. Yeah, so, I mean, the other thing in that name, PLO, pot limit, the bet is limited. You can't, it's not no limit, so you can't go all in unless your chip stack is less than the pot. So you can't bet more than the pot at any stage in PLO either. That's one of the differences as well. As we see this hand, we've got pretty connected straight hand from JP, John Peter Runsu, but I'm referring to him as JP. And Ben has got the hearts and the small pair, which is still in the lead. He wouldn't have liked the ace, but he certainly liked that turn card, even though it's an overcard. Gives him a flush draw.
But John then hitting his king.
Yeah, so he's taken the lead, but he's still only a 2-1 underdog here because he's got that gut shot. He can hit any 7. or he can hit any heart. And obviously an 8 gives him a 3 of a kind as well. So, no, a little bet he might just have a little bit of interest here. But it is tough in PLO if you don't have that nut flush, because you could be chasing that third heart here and still not know when you hit it, if it's any good. But five-handed is not too bad, but he's completely bricked that. So any bet or anything's just going to...
He bet these check, bet, fold.
Yeah, it's just... I think it went check, so JP...
Oh, yes, check, you're right. So interesting that he hasn't bet the trips there, or the 3 kings, I should say.
Yeah, well, JP didn't have any spades in his hand, and the third spade, that king... So even though he's got trip kings, he can obviously lose to a flush. So without having any spades to block Ben's hand... it's generally, he's not checking that to fold. He's going to check call. He doesn't want to, but he doesn't want to put any chips in and get re-raised and have to call more.
Sure.
So it's again the pot limit part. So if JP bets that, then that makes the pot bigger, which means Ben can actually bet bigger as well. So he's going to have to call more. So you've got to be a little bit conservative in PLO if you don't have the nuts. Because some of the best players that just go for their spots, who I think you're going to be talking to later, a few of them too, they'll be talking about that, and they can really put you in some tough spots. I've been in his hands before against a good player, and I've bet, and because I thought I've probably got the best hand here, I should bet it, it's a thin value bet, and then raise, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? It's, so it does play to check back, just to check call rather than go for that extra value sometimes. But the good players know when to do it. They know when to just play conservative. They know when to switch gears. They know who to pick on. Really, really skillful game, PLO. And as I said, it's no surprise to see the same names over and over again. Now this is a beautiful hand. You see this hand, Harvey? Get excited because...
Well, you've got everything there, haven't you? Apart from maybe the ace high, you've got virtually everything.
Yeah, even though you don't have a pair, that is an absolute monster. So pretty much any flop that's got 3 Broadway cards on it, you're gonna have a monster. You don't want to see low cards, although if they're hearts or spades, you don't mind it because it gives you a flush draw, so that's a monster. Alex has got a nice hand as well. He's got the single suit, though. So if we just see what happens here. Flop Queen Jack 6, 2 clubs. It's a nice flop for a couple of players here. Tibor's got the top 2 pair. Alex got the inside straight draw with a flush draw as well. And JP's flopped a set of 6s, although this is where the set of 6s is... he's got a nice hand pre-flop. He's got the suited ace with a pair of 6s, and now that 6s turned up gives him the backdoor flush draw. Yeah, and the flush draw is now folded because I guess it wasn't the nut flush draw. So when there's this much action, he's probably expecting that someone could have a superior flush draw to him. Now Tibor's got 2 pair, but because he's got such a connected hand, he doesn't just have 2 pair. He can improve to a Broadway straight with an ace. A full house, so he's got a lot of improvement. So that's what I mean. That's why these rundown hands, we call them, like a straight like that, particularly double suited, he doesn't have a flush draw to go with it, but we'll see what happens here. As you can see, those equities, 53-47. Yeah, this is a coin flip. If you ran this 100 times,
There you go, 47 and 50.
there you go. That's right. Yeah.
Let's see what happens here. Comes to turn.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
8 on the turn.
And the river.
Yeah, wow. Now JP's loving that as well. He's got the diamond out. 9. Yeah. So his 2-pair improves to a straight. The best hand was actually folded there with the king 7 of clubs, but as I said, he would have folded it because with that much action, he's not to know that no one's got the ace high flush as well. So I think it was Alex Chong from Melbourne that had the king 7 of clubs there. So that was an interesting hand, and Tibor does it again. He's gone from 500k up to close to $1 million, and now he's over that as well. Got another full double. So he's put those last 2 hands in a multi. Did you have any bets on the AFL? Did you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, we do have the lovely ladies from Best Hand Shiatsu Massage in the room. If you are tired, sore, or just need a relaxing massage, let us know and we'll send them your way.
Yeah, I was sort of following the Brownlow throughout the year too, and I don't know, Isaac Heaney, he was up there for the Brownlow points, but he must have gone missing today. Yeah. Because he saved them in the prelim. Now this is a hand, another nice hand. The 10's 10, 10, 8, 7. So you've got a pair, but they are very connected as well, double suited as well. And Tibor's got the higher end. Yeah. So Benjamin's got to be pretty happy with that. I'd expect he's going to make an inquiry to see if his flush is any good here. No, just checks it back. Okay. Now, if Tibor checks this again, Ben's going to know he's got a flush, but his flush is good, sorry. And so Tibor's firing out. I think this will just go bet call. Yeah, and as I said, Ben's got the board locked up, but he's not to know that. Tibor will checkmate 2 pairs, so he'll just be happy to check that down. And oh no, he's going to go for it. Is he going to bet it out? Oh, okay. I mean, top ace, king's up. He's got, so he's made the 2 pair. He might have thought he's improved, but pretty quick call by Ben.
Just the call.
Yeah, so nice pot there going to Ben.
Thanks, Luke. My mic was actually off. I was chatting away in the background there, so thanks a lot.
Oh, it's good to have a couple of people listening and a few comments and that, and it's good, you know.
I love the interaction of this. This is, you know, my background is broadcast TV, and you don't often get that sort of immediate feedback doing that. So I love streaming and seeing the comments and what people think, and trying to improve it in any way. We had a really great discussion last night with so much chat about what's coming up in the broadcast of the Australian Poker Tour, and whether people are liking what they were seeing, what the quality was like. It was really great to hear from everyone, and people were coming in from, you know, all over the place. I'm down in Melbourne and the stream looks great. I'm over in Perth and following this, and yeah, it's terrific. If you, especially Saturday night, I can just imagine that unless you're out somewhere, got this on in the background, hopefully with the volume up a little bit, having a wine or a beer, or get involved. certainly we'll bring you in on the chat if there's anything you want to know or have an opinion on anything.
Yeah, no, I'm loving getting involved in this broadcast stuff too. You know, I'm not from that background like you. I don't have the gift of the gab like yourself, Harvey. But I'm really keen to get more involved, and it's just something that you can learn. I like learning. But while we're on the topic of, unless we've got a hand here, we might just talk about this hand. So Alex has opened Jack 973 for a nice double suited hand, and JP's found a nice one as well, double suited ace king 10-4. Alex has flopped the 3 jacks, and JP's got the nut flush draw. So now flush draws sort of in PLO particularly, you're not so excited when there's a paired board because full houses are much more common. And wow, look at those equities. So Alex has 3 of a kind here and a flush draw that's no good, and he's only 50-50.
He's hit the straight there, isn't he? And
oh, sorry.
yeah.
Did he?
No
straight.
No straight. No, you're right.
No, you're right. So 3 jacks does hold on in the end. But JP's looks like he's firing here. Is he? Yeah. So let me see if Alex is. This is one of those plays where JP has actually got Alex to fold 3 of a kind.
Wow.
His 3 of a kind only had a 9 kicker, and kickers can matter, and also that board was very wet, so even though the flush didn't come in, 3 of a kind as you saw. JP's just a bit of aggression there has folded out. But when we were talking about this interaction, I just wanted to mention too, we did a podcast the other day talking about the State of Origin, and Catherine Young, who's one of the dealers here, and myself, we had a competition, and we asked our viewers to put in the comments who they thought was going to win the State of Origin. And a female poker player by the name of Jess Sheldon, she commented correctly that Western Australia were going to win. And she won the ticket to the 350 Blockbuster event today. She's turned up, she's in the event. She also got to meet the Western Australian team. So she got a photo with Dale Marsland and Dean Cox and Damien Stanley. And as well, Joe Hasham was in the room as well, so she got that photo. So that was great, you know, and that's the sort of interaction. I think it's just really good to, get the viewers involved, and good to hear feedback, as you said.
It's always great to give someone a freebie.
Yeah, that's right. An APT looked after us, giving us a prize, and we spoke about the Origin. We had Didier talking about that. You see another 3-way hand here. See those kings again. Ace, king, king, queen. JP will not be slow playing this one. He said he's going for the raise, and Ben opting to give that up. You've got to be a bit careful too when there's sort of a short stack and you're a big stack, because the pots can get crazy in PLO if you've both got something. If you've got that big stack like Ben does, he doesn't want to bust. It'd be a tragedy if he busted before one of the short stacks with all that money up top. So ICMs, the payouts are significant in PLO just as much as Hold'em, obviously. We've got the fantastic Princess dealing too. She is a machine dealer.
We commended all the dealers yesterday. I saw one card get flipped over the whole day. They're pretty good.
Yeah. And just on the dealers particularly, so there's another change in PLO. As I said before, pot limit Omaha, the pot is limited. The bets are limited to the pot size. So the dealer has to be able to calculate that pot. And know that size of that pot instantly. So that's another skill set that these dealers need in PLO. Knowing the size of that pot, how much the next bet is, what the maximum is, And so Princess is one of the best PLO dealers in Australia, I would say. That's why she's doing this final table. And there's another few that will no doubt tap her off shortly, and they'll be just as good as well. We're actually fortunate at APT and all the poker in Australia that we've got some really good dealers. They just hone their skills, they just get better and better and better, and it's like having a machine out there with Princess.
Went out for a late snack with a couple of the dealers last night, and one was from Melbourne and one was from Adelaide. They've really come from all over the place to help us out. I suppose they are the best dealers, that's why they're coming from all over the place.
Yeah, well, we see the aces again. Ben's got the aces this time, and he's got to defend from Alex. Alex has a nut flush draw as well, so I guess we've got aces and a spade draw versus a club draw here. That's a
very little there.
Very disappointing flop for both players. Benjamin does have the backdoor flush. That means that he's got one on the flop and needs to go perfect to make that flush. That's what we call a backdoor flush draw.
Not going to get to see it though.
No.
The other thing that's happening here, I'm sure most people would realise this who watch a lot of poker, but there's a clock there, so you've got to act and within 30 seconds, and Princess is a bit like chess there, hitting the top of that clock each time it gets to a player to have to act. So that also keeps the game moving pretty quickly here.
Yeah, shot clocks, particularly in the larger buy-ins, they're becoming a thing, and it just speeds up the game flow. At this level, not too many people take their time anyway, because they play it so much, they sort of know what their moves are. It's almost premeditated, so... but occasionally there is a reason that you need to think about it. You've got to do some calculations. They don't have the software showing them how many outs are up the top and that, so they have to work that out themselves. JP's got a nice hand here, opened the cutoff there with Queen, Queen, Jack 10, pocket queens, Queen, Jack 10, straight draw, Queen, Jack of clubs, flush draw, so that's a beautiful hand. Renji's got a
two-ball here.
Almost the same hand, but in the middle of the deck.
Looks like his
T-ball's in the big blind, so I think you just
call that.
Yep. Yeah, yep. So three really reasonable hands here for sure, and it's all about to work out who's got the best and who's got the trash based on this flop. And Renji Mao has absolutely smashed it.
Hits that nicely.
Yep.
I suppose JP with the flush draw, it's still got a really good chance. It's only Tibor who doesn't look too crash hot here on that flop.
Now, when you flop the straight like that and you don't have any clubs, you really sort of need to start protecting your hand, and Renji has done that. He's bet out 100k. He could have bet more. He's just gone for the neat 100. He's obviously been called by a flush draw. T-ball, has he come along too?
He's come along. He's hoping for an 8 there.
He's got the gut shot of the inside straight draw. He won't be interested in that straight draw anymore because we know flushes beat straights. So T-ball's checking out of this hand. He won't be putting another chip in it. But it's just checked through after that, so he doesn't need to at this stage.
That's a nice card on the end there for JP.
Yeah, well, he kind of liked to hit the flush there on the turn, but it did pair the board, so it means he's not got the nuts, because Renji actually turned trip sevens and could have filled up, but he didn't. So just shows in the hands, like, even though you've got a flush, like if you've got Queen Jack on that board in Hold'em, you're loving it because someone else having. But the sheer fact that more hands out there, more cards out there, means a Queen High flush is not something to get too crazy about. And when you put a paired board as well, JP. So that pot stayed relatively small, but still significant. And JP gets back up into third in chips, and it's now Renji Renji Mao, the short stack. Renji was, speaking of Renji, he was kind enough to do some homework for us too, and he gave us some really nice information. So he's originally from China, former investment banker, and he's been playing full-time poker since 2023?
I think last year.
Yeah,
He's
2023.
been going for a year.
Yep.
And another athletic type, enjoys his skiing and basketball. So
I noticed he was quite tall when I was
Yes.
chatting to him, actually. And the Chinese obviously do very well in the basketball at the Olympics. They always have a team in the Olympics.
So these are 3 attractive hands again, pre-flop.
Yeah, it's amazing when they all start lining up like that at the moment, because quite often when you're playing PLO, you'll realise that you're waiting for a good hand and you keep getting a rainbow and
Yes.
mixture and they just do nothing.
That'd be me.
Now that flop probably hasn't got too many of these players excited. In fact, just a pair of 10s. You already had the jacks, so
Doesn't really help, does
it
it?
doesn't really help at all. So no, the jacks won't be minding that flop with the overpair. 2 of the players have potential flush draws with spades, and one of them, JP, has both flush draws possible. He's come out betting. He paired his 8. He's got the backdoor straight draw, the backdoor flush draw, which is what we mean is he needs both cards to improve the river. T-ball gets out of the way, and Ben's now going to think about how he's going to proceed with his jacks, if he pops it up or he just calls and sees a river. Turn card, I should say, and that's what happens. Now, JP would love to see a club or a spade, and the club comes in. Bit of another low card under the jacks, but a lot more possibilities that can beat one pair here. Say a small bet he'll call again. How big's JP gone? No, he might. I think he's gone full pot there, and
Yeah.
with the nut flush draw, he knows he's never dead, even if he gets called. So it's good to show that aggression, and he just takes it down. He doesn't even need to hit the club. The river could have been a napkin. He's taken it down.
It is interesting. See how they play, and I suppose with so many really strong hands able to be made, if you are aggressive, the impression is that maybe you're not just brave, but you do have something. As we know it, when you get 4 cards dealt to you,
Yeah.
mathematics tells you it should be easier for you to make a stronger hand than if you've just got 2.
Yeah, that's right. And generally in poker, as we've seen and we've said before, aggressive poker is winning poker generally. You see a lot of the players, JP, I would, after just watching this many hands, probably only watched after an hour 20, 25 hands maybe 30. We did have a few quick ones, but he's definitely an aggressive player. I'm not sure we've seen the V-pipping yet.
You're getting hammered here. We might have to get Renji to stand up and show us his height. He's not quite tall, apparently. Well, hang on. Craig's not the tallest bloke in the world either, so maybe it was more a perspective thing then.
Yeah, he was sort of... Well, they did take the stage away, but he was standing at the final table, and I've been running around a bit lately, so my legs are...
Yeah, you've shrunk. I've shrunk. I've
My
shrunk
legs
in
are...
2 days.
Yeah. He's certainly athletic. He said he likes skiing, basketball.
Well, see, this is why I have a problem with basketball, because I'm a midget too, and it's not fair on us. I think if you're going to actually have a sport, you should limit the number of tall people in it, because it's a complete disadvantage to anyone who's under 6 foot.
Good to see these comments coming in, Julian. We appreciate it. And I've been fact checked here.
Fact checked.
I've been fact checked because I must admit I didn't watch the Paris Olympics other than ray gun. That's about the only part
everyone
of the
watched ray
Paris
gun.
Olympics I saw this year. I just had too much going on, but
Well, Renji's in here, so let's see how he goes. He's behind on that flop. It's got to be pretty when you look down, even though they're not double suited. When you see 2 kings, 2 nines, that's a pretty nice hand to look down at, I'd imagine. Unless an ace comes out on the flop and start to worry. It's a pretty safe sort of flop there. 2 hearts. But Renji is now all in and has been called by Alex. He's going to have to come from behind.
yep. Well, he's behind, so he should stand up now if he's going to.
Yeah,
And
we
we'll
might get a look.
We'll get to see how tall he is. Stand up, Renji. You're all in, mate. Stand up equity, call it. You see a lot of players do that when they're all in. Let's just see. He needs to catch one of those 8 outs up the top.
Queen on the turn.
There
That
it
is
is.
not a good one. He now only has a king to get him out of here.
Renji just
Oh,
pinked it.
Renji's pinged it, of course.
Yeah.
He hit the queen.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
got it.
Wow.
There we go. Did he stand up? Because the stand-up equity works, I believe. He stood up there.
Well done. Stays alive.
500.
8 outs there on the turn.
Yep.
And hit the queen. Very nice. We saw a lot of that yesterday during the State of Origin. Gee, there was some swings on the basis of turns, and then that king on the river for Dale. The reaction to that. If you haven't seen that, go back into our replay from yesterday on Facebook or on YouTube, and the whole table just desperately wanting the Western Australian to get eliminated early to give them a chance to win. WA was so far in front, and Dale was on his way out, hit the king that he needed. He had ace-king against queens, hit the king that he needed on the river, and the whole table just... I've actually never seen a whole table react like that to someone staying alive in a tournament. It was, if it wasn't a team event like that, it actually would have been disgusting to react like that. So it was very funny.
Yeah, and I was in commentary with you, but if I remember correctly, we sort of let them... There was a lot of chat on the table at the time, and we sort of just let them, and we will do that when we hear that player chat as well, when there's interesting stuff, you know, because it is interesting to hear the players talking amongst them when we have a microphone on the table there. So this table is a little bit more serious and not so much chatter, so that's why we would fill in the gaps here for you. You see a little hand here. T-ball's open under the gun and being called by Ben. No, Ben's folded. JP has called. And Alex comes along in the big blind as well. Now, Jack high flop, so T-ball is Jack's best, but JP's got a lot of cards to improve here. He's got that flush draw working. That's actually what we call a front door flush draw this time. He's got the 2 in his hand and 2 on the flop, so we call that a front door flush draw. Doesn't come in, but
Helps no one really, but T-ball rocketing ahead then.
Yeah, T-ball gets
because he gets
flush
the flush
as
draw.
well.
That's
yeah,
right.
The flush draw, yeah. Now, T-ball cannot make a straight here with a 3. Sorry, he can't make a straight draw with a 3 because it's two
He has
cards
to
in
use
his hand,
2 cards,
right?
yes.
Yeah, so
This is where I get confused.
yeah, if a 3 comes there, even though he's got the ace and there's 2, 3, 4, 5 on the board, the 6 doesn't play, the ace doesn't play,
Yeah.
even though he's got both of them.
Exactly.
He can't use the ace and the 6, so as we saw, it didn't. And the ace-jack, which was ahead on the flop, stays in front. JP missed all of his spades. And his 10 on the end isn't good enough to beat the jack, so another nice little pot there for T-Ball. He's moved up to third in chips. Still in the hunt, and it's actually evened out quite a bit here. All players now over 1 million chips, 30,000 big blinds, so 40 effective.
All right, players in the menu main flight, but A.
I'm going to leave you with it just for a quick minute, mate. I'm just going to have a look outside and come back and give you a bit of a sort of a room feel, not on this event, but we have 2 other events going as well, or maybe even 3 other events. Room is packed, as you'd imagine, on a Saturday night in Brizzy. Let's have a look at what's going on out there. I'll come back and report. And if you're in the area, seriously, if you're in Brisbane or even on the Goldie or on the Sunshine Coast, jump in the car, get here. Great atmosphere tonight. We'll be playing till very, very late.
Yeah, it's been a great weather this time of year too in Brisbane, although I was outside today and it was quite windy. Wind coming in off the water there, and so it blew me away, but a little hand going on between just a simple button open and a big blind defend. T-Ball's defended. Renji's actually flopped 2 pair here with his jack 4. So T-Ball doesn't have that much going on for him. I'd say this will just be a bet from Renji, and T-Ball's got no real reason to continue, I don't think. I mean, he can backdoor a straight, but I'd say it's going to just hit the muck. I mean, been wrong before, but no, it goes in there. So there's the payouts. Up the top, 30,850, and as I said, this was a $2,200 buy-in event. So that's a nice, very nice prize pool. $93,000 prize pool. The final 5 players remaining.
Grab some food and have a nice relaxing break.
I don't have the actual. Someone did ask the other place getters after 6th, 7th, and 8th. I don't believe I have the order they finished in, but Daniel Noja, Pankaj Goja, Tom Maguire were also on this final table, and yeah, so there was 48 entries in this event, 93,600. Down to the final 5 now. Pot Limit Omaha is the game we're playing, and like most forms of poker, when you have that button, you can raise pretty much a high percentage of hands you get, and that's what's happened here. Alex hasn't got the greatest hand, but being on the button, that positional advantage has opened it up, bet 60,000, and Benjamin's actually not got a pretty good hand here in the big blind. Didn't choose to raise it up, just called, and see a 10 high flop. So Alex has rocketed to the lead here, top 2 pair. He's certainly betting that. Wouldn't be surprised to see Ben just continue. He's got that over pair. Not much else working for him. He can't make a flush, but he can go perfect straight if the king and a jack were to come out. But so I'd say you'll call 1 straight. No, was a big bet. Actually, full pot. Yeah, it's don't know. I'd say I might have made a fishy call there. If I trust Ben's, knows far more qualified than me. As I said, he's won an event at the WPT just last week for 14,000. So certainly 5 very accomplished players on this table. So yeah, the stacks have evened out here quite a bit. What I say evened out, I mean they've got over the million chip mark, so the blinds just did go up right about last hand. So, but I believe a million chips is the shortest of them all, and Ben's got 2.4 of them, so he's just limped in with his kings. JP's checked it down. Checked again. JP's betting out here. He's just got the ace high, just hoping to take this one down, but say Ben will come along. Overpair. Kings on a blind versus blind battle with no action. You'd assume they're fairly good, and now Ben picks up a flush draw with the kings. JP's also got the same flush draw, which is obviously no good, and JP can now make a straight as well. And if any of those wheel cards come out, JP's got a monster if we were playing the PLO 8, the low version, but I'm not going to get too much into that, but he can make the wheel, and if you can make the wheel, that's the nuts in PLO 8 for at least half the pot. So still a pretty monstrous hand. JP's gone again, big, full pot, so he's put Ben to the test here. As I said, he doesn't have anything yet, but he does have the flush draw working, the straight draw. He doesn't want to hit a diamond, and bink, there's the straight, so there's the wheel. Any wheel card comes out there, and JP takes the lead, and he's actually built that pot quite nicely too. So it's an 840,000 chip pot, significant. And JP's got the second nuts here. 5-6 would be the stone cold nuts. It'd be some type of call for Ben here anyway. He's just tanking. I mean, if he calls, he's handing JP a full double. I can't see him calling. I think he's just a little bit frustrated. He probably realises that was a bad card for him, and he's probably read the situation correctly the whole way. And I mean, JP could just have a flush draw with the bare heart, but he picked up the straight as well. Oh, that's a time chip, not a call. So I'd never get confused. That's a good one for young players. Like I just about fell for that myself. When there's time chips involved, if someone throws in a time chip, don't be confused with a calling chip. Don't table your hand over. You see that we can't, the shot clock's not quite in view, but that's what those time chips are doing. We have a shot clock event, so I believe it's dealers just tapping that 30-second shot clock every time, and once that 30 seconds goes down, you can see Ben has a collection of time chips, and every time 30 seconds ticks away, they reset the clock, and Ben has to chuck in one of those time banks, and if he runs out, he's got no more 30 seconds, the cards will be dead. It's an interesting one. Ben's thinking about it. It's Ben just knows here that JP could just be bluffing here with the nut flush blocker, and all the flush draws missed. So a 2 is kind of a card that he's really thinking here. You know, JP could be bluffing, and JP kind of is in the way that he has that flush blocker, but he did actually hit that wheel card, and JP's exact hand has given him the wheel, and JP is now thinking, obviously he knows he's got the best hand because he's only losing the one, and it would have been snap called. So JP's sitting there thinking about, hey, please call. Please call. He's like, we want the call, we want the call, we want the call. And it's almost like Ben's teasing him, chucking in those time chips, and JP looks over and says, it's not a call, it's just a time bank chip. He's really in the tank here. I mean, I don't know how many chips he's got there, time chips he's got, but he's finally, I think he used 4 or 5. Thought about it, and he actually made a really good decision there. For us at home, we can see why, but I tried to sort of explain the insight of what I was thinking there, but maybe Ben was thinking something completely different, but he did take his time for a good reason, I think. Just a blind versus blind battle too. JP makes a monster from the big blind, so nice pot, 840,000 chip pot there. He'll be stacking those up, and so we'll move along to the next hand. Alex is on his phone there. Try and get off the phone, look at your cards, Alex. He does.
I can tell you he's not watching the stream because they're not allowed to do that at the table.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly not allowed to make a call at the table. They are allowed to check messages and... You know what they're watching? It does kind of look like Ben is. I can see a table there on Ben's phone.
Is that right? Well,
I didn't think they were allowed.
No.
I thought you were what there, you know. Might have to...
From what I
get
understand,
out the phone police.
yes, even though we're half hour behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, we remind everyone that we're commentating this a half hour behind. We're seeing what you're seeing. We're not doing this live and then it's going out half an hour later. There's a lot of security around that. So, yeah, might have to actually do that. I think the two boys might both be watching the stream. TD, excuse me.
I mean, I know there's some fantastic commentary.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Surely it's that.
I just want to listen to the...
1,000, 2,000, with a 2,000.
So...
Anyway, we'll see what they do about that. I suppose if they're all watching it, no one's getting an advantage. So, Harvey Silver, Craig Abernathy here with you this evening on this beautiful Brisbane Lions Premiership evening. I did go out for a little bit of a stroll, Craig, just to see what's going on out there. And our free roll, which had 320-odd entries today.
Wow, 300.
300 is down to 17, which means they're all in the money now.
Great.
And one of our guests later on tonight is the newly acquired ambassador for Australian Poker Tour, Jade Mitchell, the lovely Jade Mitchell, who did incredibly well yesterday. She'll tell us all about that, I'm sure, when she comes in for a chat, but won't be for a little while because she's still in that free roll. She's one of those 17, so she's having a great old time here already.
Yeah.
And then we've got this blockbuster happening out in the foyer area. And there were 200 entries in that. That's down to 100 now. So there's been a lot of poker today, in addition to this one, which started with 48, and we're down to 5. And we're just getting going on one of the bigger events of this series, which is the $7,500 buy-in event. We've got about 20 odd entries already. And probably what we'll do is, if this one doesn't finish too late, we'll move some of those players onto the feature table and finish the night watching a bit of $7,500 buy-in hold'em.
Yeah, now this hand I just wanted to explain to our viewers. 4 diamonds on the board. Ben has a diamond, but he doesn't have the best hand. He can't make a flush with that one. 2 pair, actually 2 pair wins, but Alex was kind of hating life there. It's probably a very, very seldom chance of 2 pair winning there with the straights and the flushes there, not having a diamond in your hand. But sometimes, like 2 pair will take it down. 5-handed, of course. You're going to see that. 9-handed, probably no chance. But oh yeah, we've got the V-pips popping up there now. And
tell everyone about V-pip if they aren't
V-pip
familiar.
for our viewers that we do explain this regularly on the podcast. But V-pip just basically shows. We're talking about Jade Mitchell. She would be a very high V-pipper, and that is voluntary put in the pot. So that's how often you play hands. So it's obviously going to go up a lot more 5-handed. See more hands, you're going to play more hands. But JP, I said he would be the highest V-pipping. He's second. That just means how active he is. The more hands. So if he plays, he's V-pipping 50%. You see every 10 hands he sees, he plays 5 of them. We saw Joe Hasham last night in the State of Origin. He was V-pipping about 10, so he's probably playing 10% of the hands he's dealt. JP's playing 40%. And I think I saw Ben, he's V-pipping 50%. But that also comes down to if you're the chip leader as well. The more chips you got, the more hands you can play. So you can't sort of...
360.
Over a short sample, sort of doesn't have that much meaning. As a player if someone's active. This hand's interesting. We have a 3-bet come in. So what we've seen here is JP is opened as he does, because as you just said, he's has a high V-pip, and Renji Mouse put in the re-raise, the 3-bet, the 360. Now I'd say JP. I don't know, it's probably...
It's not great, is it?
Well, I mean, it's probably not dominated by the hands that are going to re-raise you. So he'll know what sort of cards Renji will have here, right? And he's got that middle of the deck. So if the board comes middle of the deck, he smashes it. But if it comes all Broadway, he's just not interested. So it's just sort of taking a bit of a shot at this one, knowing what your opponent's got, essentially. When you do 3-bet in PLO, and if you re-raise and then you put in the 4-bet as well, it generally means aces. It's sort of showing your hand to your whole table by doing it. So you're playing face up. So JP knows that. He's obviously...
And even though he's not a serious dog here, he's probably going to think he is, you'd imagine, on that flop.
Yeah, well, at 60-40, it was probably similar pre-flop. I didn't look at him, but... Now JP takes the lead with that card because he's the only one that's got a pair. Oh no, Renji has to have a pair of 4s, but it's he's not going to be too excited about that. So JP's 7s is still ahead, and no one's really too crazy about that. It's just going to be whoever bets this wins, I reckon. Like whoever takes the most initiative. And JP is going to, whilst he does have the best hand, Renji's probably not too convinced here.
It looks like he's getting sticky.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what he's hoping for if he does call. Obviously a 10. He does have 12 outs.
He's out. Yeah,
you're
right.
I mean,
you bet there.
Against JP's hand, he actually did have a lot of outs, but against most hands, he probably doesn't. Not too many hands gave him the best on that hand anyway.
So Julian coming in saying he's playing like PLO high-low because his hand was so low.
Yeah.
There's another game that, I mean, if this is complicated enough, then you add the high-low to it.
I mean, I don't want to get into it too much because, but basically, we'll just say that in high-low, we're playing at the moment PLO, and it's the PLO high version. So the highest card the highest hand wins. P-low, high-low. The pot is split in two, and there's a low hand. And I think you were talking to Dan Mayo. If that's how you pronounce his surname.
He loves PLO.
He is a mix. He loves the PLO high-low too, and he's a very good player at that. He actually came second, heads up for a bracelet this year in Vegas. So with someone like Dan in the building and for the whole week, I'm going to let the PLO high-low chat be limited for what comes out of my mouth, and I'll let Dan take over that.
Yeah, he was really keen to see the mixed game on the stream. I actually don't even know if we have the capabilities to do that graphic-wise.
Yeah, well, the software does exist. They do it in Vegas, and I'm sure he would love that too.
Yes, he was pushing for that.
Yeah, he loves that. He's a great guy, Dan. You had him on last night, and I'll let him explain it to you because, number one, I don't want to explain it wrong, and he's just, an absolute gun at that. So now this hand, we've got a 4-liner on the board. Any nines are straight. Well, in PLO, any 9 with another card's a straight.
Yes.
No one's got a 9. Can't see any 9s. So it's an interesting one where
another spade too. So.
The 4 comes out as well, so any 5s are straight, as long as you've got something with it, which Ben does, but it's the bottom end, or the fool's end, we call it. We call the lowest possible straight here the fool's straight. Fool's end of the straight, and...
Let's see if someone's going to be a fool. No,
Ben, just check that. You're just happy to take the showdown. See,
sure.
When you've got you made your hand, but in PLO you just can't be confident with a bottom, the bottom end of a straight. It's so easy to be beaten. But no, I'm loving the comments coming in. So not sure if Julian's. I'm assuming Julian's one of Renzi's good mates.
I would say the way the facetious comments are coming in, I would say yes.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the other thing we love about this game, isn't it? That you're always having a dig at your mates, and the problem is, while you're digging at them, you would actually love to be sitting in that seat where they are.
Yeah. No, it's good that and it's great too if players are on the stream and they tag their friends to let them know they're watching or share the stream, or if you're watching it, Julian, just tag Renzi in it, tag his other friends, let them know he's on stream because they don't know.
What would be even better is if you've got 1,000 people, tag all of them and let them know, because we'd love the viewers.
Yeah, let Renzi know, let Renzi's friends know that he's there so they can watch him too, and they might have some other funny comments as well, Informer investment banker, so I'm not sure where that was, but he looks like a businessman.
Yeah, he's also, we've given some examples in the questionnaire of what you could answer to things. One of what was about your car, like e.g. you drive an orange Lamborghini. Renzi's answer is, I do not drive a Lamborghini. He's a finance guy, so he's probably looked at the sums and worked out it'd be an expensive thing to do, and he's probably worked out how many litres of petrol he'd need to do it. JP, I believe he say that he circled that. Yes,
actually.
He says, I do drive an orange Lamborghini, so no, he doesn't.
Doesn't?
But
JP actually... He didn't bring them this time, but I saw him at the APL Million and in the Gold Coast, and he had the LED light-up fans. We just see a small pot there going towards Renzi's pocket king's no good.
No, it's
the pocket king's hand wins, but
yeah, it's the flush.
His kings end up being no good, so it's a 3-2 with a nut low flush. It's not possible to have a lower flush there. That's why it was such a small pot, even though a flush is quite strong in Hold'em, not in PLO. But back to JP. He is a character. He usually carries around these LED fans, and the sunglasses as well, which you can change what they say on the outside. And I've seen
Oh,
him
yes,
wear
I know
them.
those.
Yeah. And I don't know if he didn't bring them or the batteries are gone flat maybe, but they would have added some. They would have been good to have the final table.
Craig, we have suggested some things which I think would be hilarious, and I just get looked at by people. One of them was a fancy dress event.
Yep.
I think that would be fun.
Well, we've got Jungle Man in the house, and I mean, I've seen multiple streams. Jungle Man, when he won the Players' Championship the second time, he dressed up as Macho Man.
Yes.
So he was going there as the defending champion. He dressed up as Macho Man, and that was like a show of I'm defending my title, and he went on to win it, dressed as Macho Man. Then I've seen him playing in a Triton cash game, a Triton, holding a Triton,
Yeah.
the fork.
Yeah.
He went dressed.
Not as a devil, did he?
No, something as no. It was like the Triton out of look. He was dressed as something out of Aquaman. But so yeah, we need to get Jungle Man doing that.
Yeah, like, look, that's one thing, but I mean a fancy dress event where everybody dresses in fancy, or a themed event, like an 80s themed, and everyone's got to come in their 80s gear, or I reckon that'd be fun. No one would do it, of course, but
No, I mean,
I
look,
think it'd be fun.
I mean, yeah, I guess the options to explore. At the end of the day, poker's sort of we're playing for money, but you know it's good to have some fun. And just for example, the Star, they have every year an annual event for the Shane Warne legacy. Shane, obviously, a dear friend, APT, and he loved poker, and every year they have the charity event, and I actually make a habit to wear my cricket whites to that event every year. I wear a Shane Warne cricket hat, that's the floppy, big floppy hat. And some zinc cream on my nose, just, you know, I'm surprised no one else does it, and I ended up looking like, it's silly, but, because I'm the only one dressed up, but, look, I think it's just in small doses, it's great, you know, but you certainly don't want, you know, you got to keep it still reasonable. We're playing for big money, but it is good to have fun as well, and I thought the State of Origin did that really well. I thought that dress up in their uniforms, they just looked fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was a whole different feel, and, you know, of course, when we get onto the topic of Shane here, it's, you know, very close to a lot of our hearts. He was a very good mate of mine, and, you know, played in his home games. And just last week at the Star, they had that, as you say, that Shane Warne event. And Lynn Gilmartin, who's the partner of Angel, who played yesterday in the State of Origin, she did do that. She got dressed up in the Shane Warne one-day shirt and the hat, and great tribute to the man. And we, of course, will hang on. Let's see what's going on here.
Got a big hand here. So we got.
I am going to get interrupted.
Yeah, sorry, we missed that one, guys.
And it looks like Renji is
full
out.
Full house over full house. We should have been.
Yep.
Yeah, so looks like Alex has flopped trip eights. Renji's.
No, he got the 8 in the river.
Sorry. Alex has flopped trip jacks.
Yep.
Renji's turned trip twos and actually rivered a full house with the 8. So
yeah, pretty sick river there. That's what happens. That's when players are going to get
sick river. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when players are going to get eliminated, and you know, full house over full house there.
Re-rolling.
So we're down to 4, but we have our Warne Bounty tournament here this series as well. So. That's Jackson Warne, Shane's son, who's obviously very keen and very good poker player, as his dad was. We've got that event next Wednesday. There's quite a few celebs coming in for that, flying in for it. If you're around, that would be one I'd say absolutely get down here for. It's going to be a really fun night on Wednesday night, the Warne Bounty. And we also have later in the week the Joe Hasham Annual, and your chance to match wits with Joe.
Yeah, well, back just on Shane quickly. So at that event, as I said, I had the cricket whites on, and Jackson actually tapped me on the shoulder and gave me a Shane Warne Legacy card protector. That was very nice of him, just to he said, I appreciate you going to the effort to
Yeah,
dress
lovely.
up as Dad, So Jackson's a great kid.
He's a great kid. He's such a... He's dad's son. Shane would be so proud of him.
The thing about Shane was, and Jackson follows this on straight up so much, is just that Shane had so much time for his fans, and Jackson would just, as I said, he tapped me on the shoulder and wanted to have a chat, and he's just one of those guys like his father. He just got so much time for everyone, and so.
Well, I'll tell you a little story.
He's a great kid.
Great kid. He. Before he was 18, he used to deal at our home games because he couldn't. Shane wouldn't let him play, but he'd deal at these games, and then when he turned 18, Shane would include him, and there were pretty big names in there. We played pretty regularly with Glenn Maxwell, Brendan Favola, Stevie Baker, Campbell Brown, and then just some mates, people a little bit more like me, mates of his. And there was a big group, and he brought this eclectic group together. And after Shane passed, we've now had, I reckon, 4 nights at Jackson's house that he's hosted with all the guys that Shane used to play with, just to keep that going. And we've got very little in common with Jackson. He's a 20, early 20-year-old guy, and we're all much older than that, obviously. But he's kept that going because his old man did it, and. It's great. He's a really great guy, and look forward to obviously seeing him up here next week.
Yeah, and I mean, especially the young kid, the sort of, I'm not sure if he feels it or whatever, but it would actually be sort of a tough, a very busy lifestyle for him. Like he'd have a lot of commitments and stuff. So just having him up here and putting his time there, I'd be very appreciative of that too. And any of these guys that we see, even the State of Origin guys, it's great to have them picking Australian Poker Tour as their destination. It's great for Jackson to pick Australian Poker Tour as somewhere to come and play. And
well, it was Shane who actually said a number of years ago to Tony Hashem that we should take over this tour. He loved the Australian Poker Tour, and he wanted to. He actually suggested to Tony that he should buy it. He should take it over. So. He saw, what the possibilities and the promise, of it, and I think it's also now Tony's sort of living through that with what he's bringing to the table.
And we've got a couple of nice hands here. JP forehand, a double suited, ace 10 9 4, and Alex has got the big Broadway cards too. No one's got an 8, but. This is one of the things, when you've got that nut flush draw, you love the hearts, but you just don't like the pair on the board because it just means that your flush, you could make it now. It's got that front door flush draw, but, if JP...
He's a massive favourite, though, here.
He is, but he doesn't know that his opponent could have him dead. If his opponent's got an 8 and a queen, or an 8 and a king, or...
Does that make him feel a bit more comfortable?
No, not really. I mean, he does block the sets, but I mean, he's a huge favourite, as we can see, and I can't see JP doing anything too crazy.
Just check there.
But he holds up there,
and of course, he's got ace, king, queen, and there's an ace, king, queen on the flop, but he can only use 2 of his cards. So
yeah, it looks like he's got everything. It looks like he's got 17 pairs and everything,
right.
But he doesn't. Ace, king, queen. It's a hand he plays. One of the queens is irrelevant. So back to that thing. I believe. Did you ever play any Manila?
So we had this discussion in where were we last? Southport, I think. Yes. So I still play Manila.
So that's another game where you have to use 2 cards.
Yes.
So any Manila viewers out there, they'll be able to pick up PLO fairly quickly too. It's,
yes.
it's a great game.
I'm not an old
game.
Italian man. You can tell people that.
Yeah.
But that was the game that I started with my mates, and we still play every month. We still play Manila. The same group of guys for the last 30 years. And we still play coins. There's no chips, so you're chucking your $2 and $1 coins.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
That's actually, I don't know why that hasn't actually been a Manila event on any of the Australian poker tours throughout all these years. I mean, we put games like Pineapple.
Yeah,
and,
Pineapple.
I mean,
There's another one.
I mean, you know, that's actually quite popular too. But the thing is about Manila is, unless you're a 40-year-old man or 80-year-old man or whatever, you probably never played it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's the you know, old Italian man's game, apparently.
Yeah.
And
But I reckon some of the young 18-year-old players.
oh, they'd love it.
I reckon
oh,
they'd love it. It's an action game.
It
you
is
know?
such
It
an
could be
action
a
game.
bring-back game. Could be a big thing. So,
So Manila's half a deck. If people out there don't know what it is, you only play 7s and up.
Yep.
And you have to use both cards, and there's no flop. The cards come out one at a time, so there's a lot more action because each card gets turned over as you go through, and everyone's trying to make. Well, there's lots of straights. That's the hand you see most of. Very hard to get a flush because you're only playing a half a deck. Full house is a flush actually beats a full house in Manila.
Yep.
Because it's a very hard thing to get.
Yep.
But yeah, sort of three of a kind and straights tend to be winning hands. Jack 10 suited is probably the best starting hand in Manila.
I've heard that. I've heard it called the Greek flag.
Yeah. Yeah, fun game. We've had a few guys wanting to change to Hold'em over the years as Hold'em got more popular, but we still play Manila.
But the only reason I sort of brought it up is because just the two cards.
Yeah.
Got to use that, same as PLO. And this isn't the only PLO event that we've got this weekend. So for the PLO fans, we've got a smaller one, I believe. I'll get back to you when I find it on the schedule. But what's quite popular these days is the rotation. And the PLO 5.
PLO 5 again, another. Now you get 5 cards. It's even more to consider.
So if you like PLO 5, I'll tell you an action game, and it's going to be a huge prize pool for a small buy-in. On Wednesday evening, this Wednesday evening, PLO 4, PLO 5 rotation, $200 game at 7:30 p.m. So you can knock off work. It's 20-minute blinds and 30k start stack. So that one, that's only a $200 buy-in. But
I think that's against the Warn Bounty. Is that right? I think the Warn Bounty's on the same time as that. Am I right?
Yes, you are. You are right. The Warn Bounty will be 6 p.m. But look,
Well, I mean, we're talking about coming in and playing, and there's a great opportunity to come and play some PLO. I dare say
late registrations till 10:30. So,
but I dare say it'll beat the Warn Bounty on the stream on Wednesday night.
Oh yeah,
with some of the big names that we've got coming.
Yeah. There's also another PLA game on Thursday, and check out our schedule. There's even $150 PLO no limit rotation on Friday for $150, fully dealt. And I mean, that's unbelievable because dealers like Princess, they don't come cheap. And
it's pretty specialty, isn't it, to be able to deal this?
Every event here is dealt, so that's really good. As we see there with the shot clock in view this time. Might see some time bank chips. Have a bit of a decision on the river here for T-Ball.
You can see he's crushed here, so...
Well, the river had set of kings. He was good on the turn.
So that's a time bank chip. He hasn't called there.
He was good on the turn, but I can't really see him calling. It's a full-size bet on the river. I mean, he's got 9-3. He's got 2 pair, but there's just too much that beats him. I don't want to do a jinxie and flip the chair out, but if he calls here, I'd be stunned. I mean, I guess there's not too many draws that. I mean, it's not like there was a front door flush draw, an obvious front door flush draw that missed, but he eventually gives it up, and Yeah, he just thought about it. Sometimes players just need to give that extra thought, and that's what the time bank chips are for. And he made a good decision there, and just thought it through.
Talking of Jinxie, he'll be joining us for next week. I think he flies in tomorrow night. So Braden Jinx, one of our top local players, he gives us a little bit more of that, I suppose, that sort of young, modern game insight. He talks a lot more about ICMs and mathematics and all that sort of stuff, which is really interesting to hear, you know, someone who plays a little bit more like that and recognises that. Yesterday was all about, there was none of that going on. Yesterday was all about getting it in. Just it was a lot of fun, the State of Origin. I really enjoyed that, and I suppose the format doesn't really give you a heap of time to work your way into.
It would be good to have be able to sort of have multiple tables, the streaming, but obviously the technology involved in the setup is a huge setup for one stream. You know, maybe down the track, you might be able to have multiple tables stream and cut between them.
Or even just updating what was going on outside a little bit more. We're aware of that. And
we see T-Ball's got the aces here, and is just ahead. Alex has got a 10 with a bit of a draw there, but...
and he's out.
He's out. Yeah, as I said, I think I made the suggestion last night. You could, you know, I'm not sure if you watch the election coverage, as not many two people do, but the actual way that they do that, like with the actual updates and that, you know, it might actually work. Just having results coming in and a live scoreboard down the right.
Well, the live scoreboard would have been really good. That was something we spoke about, and maybe just using the chat a little bit more to just inform people about what was going on outside. We saw some reaction sort of late after you'd left, you know, late in the event. We saw, you know, a lot of high fives and stuff. We didn't really know if that meant. It obviously meant at that point that WA had won. Couldn't, but we didn't know that watching it on the stream, and so But it, you know, having said all of that, I think it was a lot of fun, and the noise and the emotion and the raucous celebrations. I think just bringing a team aspect to poker, which is so unusual for such an individual sport, was really different.
And as I said last night, what impressed me was just getting that many elite players in the one place at the same time. It's just unbelievable, you know. It's not easy to do. A lot of credit to them, and great success. Congrats to WA again.
Got to sit here with the great Andrew Bogut in commentary for a while, and, you know, NBA champion, telling us how much he enjoys poker and why, and he actually did pretty well in that first round. He got heads up on his table.
Yeah.
Can play.
I mean, where do we go from here? You get someone like as high profile as Andrew Bogut on there. I mean, that's a big benchmark to set, isn't it? But it will even get bigger and better.
Well, this is another legacy of Warnie's, I suppose. You know, he did make poker pretty cool, and you know, other sports people were open to say, you know what, we actually do play this and love it. And I mean, Bogut was saying every flight he got onto with Golden State, they would have a tournament on the plane.
Yeah,
you know, the players. You know, every single time they flew.
Yeah, overheard on this. And I have seen a number of the players playing on streams as well. It's you know, it seems like a lot of American players, poker being, you know, generally, you know, big in America, the American players do it, but we've even seen soccer players, Brazilian soccer players.
Neymar's, you know, loves it.
Yeah, and even some of the cricketers I've heard talking about it as well.
Well, in our little group, we've, you know, Aaron Finch plays with us, then Maxwell plays with us. Yeah, they do. They love it.
And then you've got, obviously, the Hollywood movie stars like, you know, Matt Damon and these guys are all
Ray Romano, Jason Alexander, George Costanza, you know, all these guys who we see obviously at the WSOP.
Yeah, so it's just such a game that sort of reaches out everyone. Now this is actually an interesting hand. We'll talk about this one because
they both got a six.
They both got the six, 2 6s out. So this could be a little bit messy, this pot. I mean, King 6-6. So no one's got the full house yet, but that turn card.
Here it
turn
is.
card.
Here it is.
Also
Could give
goes
someone
to
a full
mini
house.
Flight A, which has a 50k guarantee on the entire event. Currently has
That's
12
not it.
players.
Have a look, they're 50-50.
Yeah, well, they're at the moment. They're
splitting
chopping.
it.
They're splitting
That's
because
right.
that
Yeah.
game's playing. But it's a really big river card because even though Alex has a flush draw here, he's not interested in that on a paired board, really. I mean, it's good, nice to have it as backup. So that's why he's going to bet here. But he's betting for the 6 as well. He's actually got everything.
T-ball's really
got the straight draw.
short here. You
Yeah.
probably think he almost can't get away now unless it's...
No. Actually, that went bet by T-ball and then call.
There you go,
Alex,
and he hit and he gets it.
And then, yeah, so. Three sixes and then
The jack kicker
The
there.
jack just kicks, so T-ball gets a nice one there.
Yep.
Wowee. He's
He's a survivor, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I mean, poor old Renji, he busted out there with a bit of a sick hand. And T-ball just manages, whenever he's all in, he wins. So, well, he wasn't quite all in then, but close enough. And
He did probably get a little fortunate there because anything on the river, he's probably going to get bet into and would probably call with what he had. So
yeah, but all these players are
50k guarantee.
playing very well. And I think if I was going to say JP, I think JP's, I don't know, do we put tips in or who we think's going to win?
absolutely.
I was going to say, I think JP, for me, just because I just think the aggression he's using and he's going for it a bit, but that can get you unstuck too.
T-ball's going to call here, isn't he, at least, I would have thought, down to the big blind.
Yeah, he has to defend that one.
I think it might be a raise. No, call.
Just a
Okay.
call, yeah. So, pair of sevens. No one's got the diamonds, and T-ball pairs of 4.
They both pair of 4.
They're both pair of 4, sorry. Yeah,
Yep.
T-ball's got the ace kicker. Still the ace is playing at the moment.
But a flush draw there for T-ball.
The sevens is still good.
That's why T-ball, I'm assuming, has become the favourite there. It's the flush draw and the sevens.
Yeah, he's just... There's sort of... It's because there's less... The cards that help JP, some of them now don't count because the club version of whatever he needs. So a jack obviously would have won it for JP, but the jack of clubs won't, so...
Will he get him to fold here? A bet of 160. He's going to get him to fold.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. See, and that's why I just think JP's the most likely to win.
Certainly the most aggressive.
Yeah, he's just not afraid. He's a fearless player. As he said, he's a professional PLO player, and to play any of these games, you just got to have that no fear mentality sometimes, because fear is what costs you some chips, and JP is not afraid to lose. And because of that no fear mentality, it actually makes him very dangerous. And as you said, you're going to be speaking to Jade Mitchell later.
She's fearless.
Jade is fearless, and I mean, generally in the low stakes, Jade, and you can talk to her more about it, but Jade's generally playing the low and the mid stakes stuff, and it's so hard to sort of do initially at that stakes, and she's learnt to master that craft, and just her aggression is what gets her so deep in tournaments. She just wins so many pots that she's not entitled to win, but she doesn't have the best hand, but she just puts the chips in, and I mean, I don't want to say too much and uncover her strategy, but...
No, she's pretty open about that.
I've exposed it before, and she still keeps winning, so no one's listening to us anyway.
So both Benjamin and T-ball with a pair of 10s. If a 10 came out on the flop, I would have been concerned.
Or if all 3 spades came out of the flop, it would have been a short tournament too. They would have flopped a flush, There's lots of spades, but there's not many left. as we see Alex in front, just a pair of queens, but interesting to see if Tibor does anything here with the 10s. He knows where 2 10s are busy. Benjamin's got 2 10s and 10s, so it's anyone. Alex doesn't need a 10, so he's not likely to get one. And, from Alex's hand, he's got 2 pairs, queens and 9s with the ace kicker. The other guys have 10s.
Decides to check though.
Tibor can win with a jack, I believe.
It's not the 3 though.
Not the 3, so yeah, it's again like when you can't get in the short-handed play, you see hands like 2 pair winning more often. So if we were watching this from the start, or like from a 9-handed or 8-handed, this is an 8-max tournament, so full ring 8-max PLO, you're not going to see 2 pair win as often as you would short-handed.
Well, you don't, and the reaction of Alex told you that. He actually, bit of a fist pump that he took that pot just with 2 pair.
Yeah, and he seems like he's talking. He's got a rail behind him too, which is good. I noticed no one's got their phones on the table now, so
yeah,
we might have dobbed them in there.
Oh, I won't say too much. We are going to have a break pretty shortly too, I think.
Good.
Oh, look,
Okay.
his rail's just decided to muck up his chips. Did you see that?
Oh.
What a good mate that is. He's just leaned over and pushed his stacks down.
And Tibor's got a rail there too. We can see his partner watching him. So this is great. And the other thing about these videos, I think, too, like, you know, they're saved on YouTube, they're saved on our Facebook page, so you can go back and watch them. You know, you can use that. You might want someone to go through the hands with you and say, you know, how can I have done this better, or what should I have done here, or even just show off to your kids, you know, and say, listen, this is on stream, you know, how cool is this?
Well, Craig, we've seen, you know, really often we get to breaks and players are going and sitting with their rail who've been watching the stream, and, you know, they'll brief them and say, you know, when you did this, you know, this, you know, you didn't have this, or, you know. So you definitely get a bit of information off the stream, and if you can use it while you're still in the tournament, even more so.
Yeah, I mean, Jinxie was watching me on a stream one day, and before I played final table, it was like I was in the dressing rooms with Craig Bellamy. I got the biggest spray of my life. The way I played one of these hands.
I do remember that, yeah.
He was filthy at the way I played a hand, and he was right, and I needed it, and it helped me for sure. So, but look,
one thing I do like about Jinxie is that he's not backward in coming forward. Let me say that. You know, he will talk about the way you played.
Yeah, like, no, but I mean, that's what you need. You need honesty in all aspects of life, not just poker, you know, and I'm like that as well. But Jinxie, no, I'm looking forward to seeing him, actually. He's actually got a great sense of humour, funny guy. He's obviously much better on the commentary than I am, and he's very well versed.
Pick yourself down. He's different. He's different. He comes from a different area.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's, you know, it's just a sort of a confidence thing, but the more I do it, I'm really enjoying it. And Jinxie, though, I don't know, he's just got the gift of the gab, you know, like, as do you and some people. But as I said, it's something that you can learn, and Jinxie's really picked it up. I think Jinxie's...
He loves it, that's why.
I think Jinxie could...
He really loves it.
Yeah, really be a mainstay in poker commentary in Australia. He just, yeah, I don't know, something about him. Just as I said, he says he's got it. I suppose it with emotion too. You know, that final table that he commentated at Sharks. You know, and
how good was that? Yeah, how good was that? Well, we had. I mean, that was one of the most incredible runs of bad beats I think I've ever seen in my life. So it was hard not to get emotional. It was just hand after hand, players coming from behind, and players surviving after they looked out. And,
and
that
Jinxie
was pretty amazing.
Jinxie just called it so well. I just remember he saying, "Am I tripping? Am I tripping?" No, he's called. He's called with the 10-7 of diamonds.
Yeah.
C5 race, 100,000.
He says, "I'm speechless." And this is a very nice hand from Ben. Under the gun, double suited. Ace 10, 8-7. He's got a lot of things working here. Nut flush draws, straight draws. T-Wars also shares a similar straight draw here. 10, 10, 9, 6. If we see any of those 10, 9, 8, 6, we're going to go.
Could have some fun.
There's not a lot left though, so based on those cards, I'm predicting a flop, a low flop like 2, 3, 7.
No, we got a high flop.
The high flop. There we go. We've got none of those cards either. So, but look at that. JP's almost flopped a straight flush there.
Yeah, wow.
He's got the flush. He's going to be pretty happy with that. He's beating by only the nut flush and three-handed. You're not so concerned about that. Queen high flush is very good. I think I just see a small bet here. Maybe half pot. And he's gone for a third. And just to, I guess he doesn't want to scare anyone away. But
man, there's just nothing there, unfortunately.
He doesn't want to see the board pair. That's all he's worried about. And I think he's just taken that one straight down. Yeah,
there's just nothing there.
Well, he had everything. See, when you've got
he had everything, and there's nothing for
when
the
you've
other
got
team.
everything, no one else can have anything. That's the way it sort of works too, you know. Although when it's eight max or 8 full ring, you do see it more often.
But do you know the weird thing is? If you come...
There'll be plenty of opportunity coming up for you, Craig, and for Jinxie with the broadcast. We've got some really, really exciting news coming up, which we're working on. Well, here's a nice starting hand too.
There's the aces opening under the gun, yep. He doesn't have any flush draws, but four-handed, I should say. Aces will take this down a lot, but...
and kings for Benjamin.
Aces versus kings, here we go. And bad news for Ben is one of the kings is locked up in JP's hand. So he's got one king to hit unless one of the other folded cards is the king, but 8, 6,
7, 8. So he's hit two pair there.
So Ben won't be playing the kings anymore. He's got the 2 pair, 6s and 8s, and takes the lead.
And the kings as well. So he
takes the lead. 6s and 8s is now beating the aces. Yeah. The kings are not playing.
Well, the kings aren't playing unless that king comes out, obviously.
Yep, that's right. We've still got 8s and 6s, 2 pairs.
Be a little worried
aces.
about all the diamonds out there, perhaps.
Yeah. And now with that 4, that count, that gives the aces 2 pair now too.
Wow.
Right? So that counterfeits the top 2 pair. So that's another thing.
Yeah, it just got done on the river there.
Yeah. So, and I mean, but I was only a small pot. Like with that sort of wet texture of board, you know, you're just trying to hope to not put too many chips in the pot and just check it down. So.
All right then, Craig, we get a little break now, as the players also do. It's a 45-minute dinner break here in Brisbane.
Yep.
Come back and join us a little later. As I said, we've got a few interesting guests coming through, and obviously we're going to see the end of this PLO. So see you soon.
Yep. Talk to you after.